Right, so the next thing we did in class yesterday was we started looking at some brushwork and some pattern play. So I just want to kind of go over this a little bit. I'm not going to show you all of these marks here. We're going to actually do a little simple flower painting so that you can practice these. But first we started with very wet paper. And just doing dots and dashes, we were able to create some really interesting shapes. Then as our paper dried more and we had a damp page or a dry page, either would work fine with wet paint, we started looking at these shapes. So I will demonstrate just quickly. I'm gonna actually do it on the back of this paper. And it doesn't matter what color I'm using here, right? I mean, I'm just using blue. And again, don't be afraid, especially when you're learning your brushes and you're doing exercises, to use the back of your paper. So I'm starting with a big brush because I want you to see on this tutorial, but any round brush for any of these strokes is going to work. I know that some of you are feeling a little bit uncomfortable with the big brushes. So the things that we were looking at were the tip down, then pressing, and then bringing the tip back up. So you have like this push and pull, and this is really an important thing when we're trying to make leaf shapes, feathers, anything like that. You do, when you're getting your paint on your brush, this is something that people were noticing, is that their tip was not staying like this. If we're mashing our brush down like this to get paint, it's going to spread our tip out and we're not going to be able to use that point. So when you're getting your paint, go ahead and just roll your brush slightly. So we were looking at this shape, and then we also started looking at, it's kind of like a C shape, using the same thing where you put your brush down and you're kind of rotating. And so this is how we do a lot of flowers, right? And then you can kind of join it here, right? And you've got a beautiful leaf or petal, right? So I'm actually, this brush is a little bit bigger than it needs to be for this exercise. So I'm just gonna switch down. This one's a number 8 brush. So let me just show you, because this looks like a whole flower itself. I would probably just leave it alone. But if I was gonna do like a 4-petal flower, my neighbors are getting some work done on their house, so the dogs can't help it. They're gonna just be loud, so I apologize. So these strokes really aren't difficult, but you do have to kind of learn your brush and to see. And also, don't be afraid to move your paper around. You know, if it's awkward for you to get into a spot, go ahead and I'm kind of made a mess out of this one, but don't worry about it. We're practicing, right? So let me try this again. This kind of practice I find very soothing as well. It's almost meditative when you start painting little flowers and things like this. So then with the tip of your brush, you can come in and, you know, kind of drop in a little bit more pigment. Like if you want your centers to be a little darker, go ahead and drop in, you know, some more pigment in the center. So you can get some really cool wet and wet effects in the centers of your flowers while you're painting them, right? And we can always come back and refine it more later. Okay. So these are the kind of brush strokes we were practicing yesterday. We were also practicing the flicking action where you're holding your brush really far back. This is just perfect for grasses and things like that. Another thing that I do a lot, like when I'm doing grasses, again, I'm holding fairly far back. I'll do stuff like this, where I don't have enough paint on my brush. You're going up and you're kind of flicking it down, right? So when that's in with other grasses, it just looks very interesting when you have kind of that kind of a move there. Another thing that's always fun too is if you have it come up and then you kind of make this little oval shape and then another tip. Then you have like something that looks kind of like cattails. At least that's what we called them where I was growing up in Idaho. I don't know if you call them the same thing here. So anyway, there's a lot of little things that you can do. But I thought we would go ahead and paint maybe like a vase of flowers together.